Dreamscape presents The Intruder by Freida McFadden. Narrated by Patricia Santomasso, Tina Wollstonecroft, and Joe Hempel. 1. Now. Casey. There is at least a 50% chance that in the next 24 hours, the roof of the cabin I'm renting will collapse and kill me. It's an apt metaphor for the rest of my life. There's not much I can do about my shattered life, but the roof issue is more surmountable. I have been calling my landlord, Rudy, for the last month to try and fix it. Every day I find a few new shingles on the ground next to the cabin, and one day I'm fairly sure I'll sit on my living room sofa and look straight up to see the moon. And then, a few days ago, my calls became more urgent. There's a storm coming, and if this roof doesn't get fixed ASAP, I could die. So I told Rudy he needed to get his butt over here, now. I wasn't nice, but I said what I had to say. Now, a dozen messages later, Rudy is finally here in the flesh. As we stand together just outside the cabin, Rudy squints up at my roof with his droopy blue eyes. He's a scrawny man in his late 50s who looks like he only eats 1 or 2 non-liquid meals per day. He scratches the gray stubble on his chin and adjusts the worn gray baseball cap he always wears. As usual, he reeks of cigarette smoke. The stench of it was overpowering when I first moved into the cabin, and it took me a week to get it aired out. It still clings to some of the furniture months later. "Looks okay to me, Casey," he says. My fists clench in barely restrained rage. How? How does it look okay? There are shingles all over the ground. I, in fact, gathered the flat rectangular shingles into a little pile that I now gesture toward angrily. I don't entirely understand how a roof is constructed, but I know those things are needed to keep it together. The fact that they are falling off does not bode well for my roof. At least this is just a rainstorm. Once it snows in a month or so, forget it. I'm going to wake up one morning in a snowdrift. I wish I could afford a decent, isolated shack in the woods. It's not safe, I insist. You worry too much. Rudy grabs a pack of cigarettes out of his back pocket, and before I can ask him not to, he lights one up and takes a deep drag. I've never known him to go more than 2 minutes without a smoke. You need to learn to relax a little, Casey. You need to learn to relax a little. That was my goal when I moved out to this cabin in the middle of nowhere, New Hampshire. I wanted peace and quiet, which is exactly what I got. Even with all the chirping birds and crickets and woodpeckers, it's so quiet that I've got no distractions from thinking about the complete mess I made of my life. I came out here after I lost my teaching job. I had this idea about living off the grid for a little while, but then I discovered what living off the grid actually meant. As much as I enjoy roughing it a bit, I very much did not want to build my own septic system. So here I am, not living off the grid. I have electricity, running hot and cold water, and a working landline telephone. But I do not have a television, and I look back with disdain on the days when my smartphone was glued to my right hand. I sold the phone before I came out here. Living off the grid is great, as long as you can still use the toilet. Oh, and you definitely need a roof. I grit my teeth. I want my roof fixed, Rudy. I wish I were anywhere else but here. I especially wish I were back in Boston, in front of my classroom. I miss my students. I would have done anything for those kids. Except that's what got me into trouble. Just hold your horses, little lady, he says. I can't fix the roof now. That storm is coming. I clench my fists. I know there's a thunderstorm coming tonight. There will be buckets of rain and wind strong enough that I'll likely lose power. I've mentioned it in every single one of my increasingly urgent phone calls to Rudy.